It's going live now. Yep. That's my brother. My brother. My brother. When he came down to the Black Power Wars, I said I had enough respect for him. He drove 5 hours just to come and see me. He was responsible for the lighthouse getting a lot of the attention that it had. He took his editor took a piece of the footage from the Black Woman's God, Black Woman's Holy Spirit. He took a whole hour video on it, and he posted that. Got him viral, and that ultimately led to the lighthouse movement. Let's do it. I just had it up there. That's the first thing we want. Man, I'm loving Dallas, man. Good energy out here.
Do we? Let's see if we need to pop up. We need to do the.
All right, so let me show you the link now.
Okay. Oh, you're doing it now.
Yeah, I'm gonna share it to your email
Okay.
like
Yeah,
we did
just to
before.
see if we're gonna. Yeah.
All right. It's KP producer. The live one on Outlook, right? You had the Outlook. Let's
That's
do the
the
Outlook.
one I had up with that.
All right, I just shared it to that one. So that's the one you want to paste.
Okay. Share it to the KP producer.
Producer. family, before we begin, we still have some time. If anybody wants to introduce you, I would like to do an introduction to the people that are here, to the Lighthouse Dallas. If you'd like to stand up, just give me your name. Let me know where you're from, how you heard about the Lighthouse.
Tommy Bosky, I heard about the Lighthouse on Facebook, following you ever since. So I kind of introduced my wife to it also. She
Okay.
followed me also.
Love it.
All right, from Dallas, originally from South Dakota.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
My name's Candice Jones. I found out about the lighthouse through Facebook, through like a mutual friend. Like, you know when you scroll through the videos and you're just scrolling and scrolling? I found you that way.
Yeah.
And ever since then, just every day I'm refreshed. Wait till 8 o'clock and I get you every morning.
Awesome. And I forget that you guys are on the 8 o'clock dial for the CTS. So it's a little bit different. Awesome.
Found out about the Lighthouse through, I think it's ex-pastor Kevin Wesley.
Ah,
Yeah.
my bro.
I was checking out one of his videos, and I think you came up right after,
Yeah.
and then that was a wrap.
So, appreciate it. Thanks for coming out.
Jim Tompkins, I just found out.
You did it? Yeah. That's what's up.
Curtis Wilbur, Facebook,
Awesome.
White House Dallas.
All day.
I found out also through Facebook. I'm Sinead. I found out, I think I was watching KEMETIC.
Okay.
And then you were on one of his, and then I've been watching it since.
Okay.
That's my husband.
What's up, hubby? Who's next?
I'm Dominique Braswell from Fort Worth, by the way, Chicago. And I found out through Facebook.
On Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else want
This
to?
is my daughter, she's shy.
All right, daughter.
Tanya Frazier, Cedarville, found out about the lighthouse from my sister, and I follow on Facebook.
I'm Ray, and I found out about you on Facebook from my aunt.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. That's what's up. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Okay. Sister Vicky.
Hi, I'm Vicky Shorts, and you was on the Kevin Wesley show,
Yes, I was.
and that's how I found out about you, and my husband and I both follow
Awesome.
Dallas.
Yeah.
And well, my husband is the reason he's here too.
Okay, okay. Okay. What's up, Mama? Thank you. All right.
My name is Keontae Simpson. Actually, I also found out my mother. I was actually following some. I don't know if you know who Seer is.
Siri?
No, Seer.
I see it.
The dude Seer. I was actually following him, and I just follow a lot of different.
Okay.
A lot of different things. We have intellectual content.
Build it.
You came up and follow him.
All right, all right.
Oh, and I'm Barbara. These are my sons. And I found out about you through Facebook. I was watching Kevin Wesley. And I said, I gotta go check this guy out. And I started watching and I was like, wow.
It's awesome when I see families. I love to see families, particularly, especially the younger generation coming up. That's what we do this for.
All right, man, I'm Sherelle from Grand Prairie, Texas.
Mhm.
I put up on you on Facebook, he was talking about the chakras, how the earth can heal you. And then I was tuned, and this is my wife.
Good stuff.
She's a big supporter, so man, Lighthouse Dallas is in the building. Sir.
I'm Patrice from Shreveport, Louisiana. This is my friend Jay.
Wow.
I brought her to learn about the origin of Christianity.
Let's
And
go.
I heard about you through Facebook watching Kevin West. I thought you were pretty deep in watching.
Thank you. Thank you, Queen.
I'm Sharon. I'm a member of the Lighthouse from Chicago.
Sharon, what's the last name?
Well, it's narrow, but it's Marie.
I remember that name. Okay, yeah.
Christina from Chicago as well, and I live here and Sharon came down to see you, so I'm here for support.
I love the city of Chicago. You scroll a little bit further down, you'll see me in and out of Chicago a lot. I love Chicago.
Lynn from Dallas. Their friend, Deshaun, told me about it, and here we are. So
Welcome.
I'm Sybil. I'm originally was born in South Carolina, and I'm residing in Dallas right now. And we had the conversation on the live.
Earlier this morning, yes.
It's awesome. Like I said, you are. And it's just awesome. It's awesome to get this knowledge and be able to help my people wake up out of this madness.
Yes.
It's been madness all my life, and I'm absolutely tired of it. But I heard, I found out about you. I think I was watching Frank Burrell. And you know
Frank
how
Burrell, yeah.
you play one video and like you can it just scrolling and your video came up and I was like, let me check it out. So I watched yours too and hooked ever since.
Frank Burrell.
Just now starting to get notifications. I was about to pull my little hair out. Get notifications and I finally found out how to do it. So 8 o'clock every morning, 7:45, 7 o'clock. So yeah, great meeting all y'all and let's get this work.
Get this work. Get this work. Okay.
And I've been like, just deep out in my life, like 2 or 3 years now. You know, it was like an eye-opening thing for me.
Yeah.
You know, but I really like to discuss about with one people, same like mine.
Right.
You know, because it's hard to discuss it when somebody's not on the same level with you, the same mind with you.
Right.
You know, it's like you can present them all the evidence, show them where you got it from, all that, but hey, to each
Yeah.
you know, I feel like we got a lot more problems in the black community, you know, just to be fighting over one another to leave. We
Right.
take care of that small stuff later.
Right. It's a bigger. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm Bruce, that's probably on Facebook. I've been on this blog for
Okay. Okay. We got some people that's been around for a while. Folks in the back here. Oh, leadership. Come on. Come on. We'll get some seats, brother. Seats, please.
I'm Marcus. I'm from Michigan, but here for work. Been following on Facebook and YouTube, even since you went to YouTube and came back with me.
My man. All right.
Okay, so Kevin, what's with the like just the knowledge and like-minded people like what he's saying is kind of disturbing.
Right.
But I got me interested enough to put and then watching you, the chair spins. With our people and actually get to learn.
Yeah.
Get them the truth when we get them.
Right. Right. Appreciate it.
I'm Dexter. I follow Kevin Wesley. I watch every week, and I see you drop knowledge on there and do your thing. But I saw you, somehow I got you on Facebook, and you went away. Then you were on YouTube. I follow you on YouTube. I had to rip off YouTube that Smart Towie. That was
Oneness.
that was great. Oh my God, that was great stuff right there. So I've been following you for a while. I heard you speak. You got a lot of knowledge. I know you're from New York.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm from Georgia. I moved out here years ago, about 22 years after I got in the military. But I actually left the church scene about 2015. How I got out, my wife gave me irritated gene. I was heavy in the church.
Right.
I was trying to research.
I can tell by the voice.
Yeah. Well, the military kind of thing. But I was trying to study Babylon, and every book I read, the story was different.
Yeah.
It never parallel.
Mhm.
It just,
Mhm.
Cush was a soothsayer,
Mhm.
or Nimrod was used fire and had horns in it.
Nothing concrete.
Nothing concrete. No, matter of fact, every artifact they had was from some other My wife slipped me the irritating gene,
Yeah.
and I heard something I think I've never heard before. When he dropped the word Hyksos, I went and looked it up, I'm like, wait a minute.
Right.
It's not
The missing link.
no doing Semites invading Egypt
Right.
instead of being enslaved.
Right.
Can't be.
Right.
And then I just start digging it.
Somebody's lying.
Somebody lying, and then there's evidence. So
Yeah.
yeah, he just didn't out now. And I would like you for one request.
Yes.
If you could expand on the Suez Canal. You marked that 2 weeks ago, and I literally been digging everywhere I can find.
You're on frequency, because that's how we starting off this lecture.
Okay.
Good to go.
How y'all doing?
Good.
My name is Frank Davis.
What time is
By the way of Killeen, original from Cocoa, Florida. So, Cocoa Beach.
Cocoa Beach? That's my partner's at right now. Okay.
Cocoa Beach. I was like,
Okay. Yeah. My best friend down there.
I've been following you, I'm gonna say the 4 horsemen, in and out about 7 months now. You, Frank, Kevin,
Right.
Coach. Well, man, I mean, you got to back that up with some of the ancestors, like the band,
Facts.
Green Mother, French Plus, man, but I just want to say thank you. I'm not to speak for the masses here, as much as you're putting in, doing what you do, and keep doing what you're doing. You don't get my support, whether you in Facebook, doing the chill spin, looking like this.
Thank you.
That's me. When y'all
Thank
be watching
you.
the timeline, just you see the 5 bucks, like here it comes, chill spin coming, that's me.
Thank you.
All right, but, yeah, but do what you're doing, man.
Thank you, King. I appreciate it.
Peace, back with the name of Deshaun Marshall. And I ran into you on my search of Black Earth.
Ah. Yeah, you expanded your thinking real time. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. For those who don't know, Brother Deshaun is one of the Hemsanu. He is one of the moderators in the Lighthouse. Very good friend. Very great supporter. And he's very necessary to the movement. Shout out to Brother Deshaun. Peace, brothers. Peace, brothers, to everybody that came in. We're about to get started. Is there a way we can dim some of these lights? Can we dim some of these lights? Haven't turned out.
That's
Peace to all the folks at home, everybody that's on YouTube, everybody that's on Facebook, all the paying customers who are watching, who couldn't be here today. Everybody here in attendance got in for free, but everybody else that wasn't able to attend had to pay for it to watch it via pay-per-view. So they're watching now on a private link, just so you guys know. So, how many people here born and raised in Christianity? Anybody? He's going to introduce me.
Y'all already know Jamar. But really, I wanted to just thank everybody for coming out tonight. Say what's up to the royal family. And I appreciate each and every one of you, because without all of you guys, you know, there's no Jamar, there's no us. So I wanted to thank especially Andrea Brown, Deshaun Marshall, and the Dallas Lighthouse group for getting together initially and kind of coming up with the date and everything for us. So I wanted to say thank you to you two and to the whole Lighthouse, Dallas Lighthouse, period, you know, for showing up and showing out for Jamar. I appreciate everybody being here. And I wanted to say thank you to my queen for all of her love and support, and my family who will be showing up shortly, you know. But anyway, I just wanted to say that, you know, it's a privilege and an honor to have Jamar here. I've only been following Jamar for about 3 or 4 months. And when I first saw him, I think the first video I saw was called Jesus is Fake, Bruh. And so with that, I had to go back and watch the rest of his videos, his earlier videos. And I saw him sitting out on the stoop, you know, giving knowledge to the people. And what I have learned about Jamar, with the little time that I've had to spend with him and talking to him and now meeting him, he's just one of the most genuine people that I've ever met. And I appreciate the passion that he brings to us every morning. We get lessons every morning, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. And every day is something different. So if you want to learn something new every day, check out Jamar every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. So with that being said, let's get this work.
All right.
Brother Kenny is a really good friend. In such a short period of time, we've had a good opportunity to learn each other. And as you can see here, just by the people in the room, him being able to put together amongst his friends and loved ones, a situation like this is major, because this is the first time I'm ever speaking in front of a group such as you guys on these topics. Anytime I've ever given my presentation, it's been in the comfort of my own home or sitting in the stoop on the stoop, you know, just voicing my opinion on the internet. So what you guys are experiencing is the first of anything I've ever done at this magnitude. And I want you to understand that I appreciate you for the welcoming that you've given me from the time I got off the plane, from the time I got here, the warm spirit. Even if you were not here, I saw your likes, I saw your comments, I saw your phone calls, even the people that I wasn't able to pick up the phone for today, I saw you. And it helped to encourage me to do this work. I need you to do this work. I can't do it alone. As you can see, everybody here that has gotten a piece of this work, that has gotten some of the stuff that I've been doing, have gotten it from somebody who introduced them to it. Do you understand? It's important that you take that information and you understand that you are the change that you need to see. You have to be that change. You can't expect somebody else to come and do it. You do that. If it's not there, create it. Create it. Make it happen. And believe in it. So we're going to get this work today. We're going to get into some stuff. First thing we're going to get into, before we start, I always like to acknowledge the ancestors. I want to make sure that the people at home can see this. I don't know if they can see this clear enough. Can they turn out some more lights, Kenny? Those lights in the back, those lights on the side. In African spirituality, we believe that nature, we believe that the universe and human beings have a divine connection with one another. We don't believe that they are separated. We are living in a human body that is orchestrating certain tasks that the universe needs to be done. We have forgotten what those tasks are. We have forgotten that we are connected to these higher sources, right? Or I shouldn't even say higher sources, to our higher self. Understand? The opening of the way is something that we do to acknowledge these other parts of us, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to read through this, we're going to read through it, and you're going to repeat after me. What we're doing is we're calling on the forces of nature, such as air, wind, earth, right? Water. All the things that we need necessary in our day-to-day lives to even exist. So many times we get up in the morning, we throw on our shoes and we just walk outside, we're going to work, we're doing, right? Never even acknowledge the fact that we just took in and took from the universe air into our lungs. That's borrowed energy. It's not yours. You got to give that back, right? The plants got to take it, they got to use it, right? So what we're doing is we're acknowledging all these different energies every time we wake up. And what is this doing? This is getting the universe on our side before we begin anything. Before you start anything, you need the universe on your side. Because if the universe is against you, it's going to be some problems for you during the day. Which is why we go through the situations that we go through more often than we need to. Because we have not taken the time to be humble enough to acknowledge the universe. So that's what we're doing here, okay, when we say these words.
So what I want everyone to do is to stand if we can. And I'm going to show you the pose of admiration, right? You're going to stand with your left foot forward, left hand forward, right hand back. You see me do this in the video when I say dua, dua, dua. And what I'm doing is we are giving energy as well as receiving energy, okay? And you're going to repeat after me. Anetrak nebet. Anetrak hapi. Nuk hapi. Then you say tuanter. You're going to say Anetrak circuit. Nuk circuit. Anetrak kepsanu. Nuk kepsanu. Tuanter. Anetrak ast. Nuk ast. Anetrak amset. Nuk amset. Tuanter. Anetrak neat. Nuk neat. Anetrak duamutef. Nuk duamutef. Tuanter. Anetrak nut. Nuk nut. Anetrak gad. Nuk gad. Tuanter. Anetrak shoe. 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 Anetrak tefnut. 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 Nuk tefnut. Anetrak pau enteru. Nuk pau enteru. Anetrak imbu enteru. Nuk imbu enteru. Tuanter. Now what we're going to do is we're going to say Ankh, and we're all going to breathe in slow when we say it, and then we're going to all harmonize together and just say Ankh. Are you ready? Yes. And say it with strength, right? 1, 2, 3. I love it. That has to be the best I've heard in a long time. All right. So the opening of the way is something that you want to do every day. You can do it at any time of the day. It's kind of like what we dealt with in Christianity when we dealt with prayer, right? Got to stop, say a prayer so that everything goes right. Right? But this is the right way to do it. We're dealing with the true energy of the universe, and we're saying it in the language of our ancestors that the universe must respond in. You understand? A lot of the things that we say, a lot of the words that we speak we're saying it in the English language, and the English language is a bastard language. It does not have power the way that the language of your ancestors did. Okay? And there's other ways that we can even go further with this when we incorporate clicks and things of that nature into the language so that the universe responds, more accurately. So let's get into this. We're talking about, before we start, we're talking about the Kemetic origin of Christianity. I asked how many people was born and raised in Christianity. I forget. We are in Texas. This is the Bible Belt. Pretty much everybody raised their hand, and that's how I was raised. 35 years I was in Christianity, pastor's kid. I was the drummer. I was in church Monday through Saturday, and then on Sunday was when we held it down. So my brother in the back know what I'm talking about. So I know what you're going through. I know what you're feeling. I know the questions you may have, right? And we're going to hopefully address some of those today. So, first and foremost, we want to acknowledge the master teachers, the ones who actually paved the way for us. Before we begin, if any of them were here, I would ask, may I have permission to speak? Yes.
Can they turn the fans on?
Yeah, let's ask. Yeah, we can turn it. Which can you? Yeah, turn the fan on if you can. Do they work? The fans? A little hot. Yeah, let's see if it's working. Before we move anywhere, all these names here, if you got a pen and paper, you're going to want to jot down some of those names. These are some of the key players that paved the way for us to have this information. Okay? I learned a lot from these individuals. and some of them are no longer with us, some of them are still with us, and you can still find them today, going tours to Egypt with them, learn from them, get the YouTube videos, books, DVDs, the whole 9 yards. These are our master teachers, our teachers, the ones that paved the way. So we want to show respect to them. So, first question we want to ask, where am I? Where am I? Where am I? So what do you mean by that? Let's just think about this for a second. The first human being that came here, from the time this human being came here, there was one question that this human being probably asked. Right out the gate. Where the hell am I? Right? Think about this. This is your first time on planet Earth, first day, first minute. What's the first question you're going to ask? If you ever went into a coma and woke up, one of the first questions you're going to ask is, where am I? What happened? How did this go down, right? They say that the Garden of Eden is somewhere in Ethiopia. Make sure people and folks at home can see this as well. Okay. We're talking about the Garden of Eden. Yeah. Light's not good. Huh? Let me see here. Hold on, family. I want to move this up so the people at home can really see what I'm presenting, because it's just showing like a white page here. Yeah. On the angle. Yeah, we need the lights off. Can we get the lights off? Yeah. Yeah. I want to make sure the folks at home can see everything. Give us a second. Bear with us, folks at home. We're going to get you a better view of the picture here. But what I want you to look at here, in this picture, in this map, is Ethiopia. This is where they say the Garden of Eden at. This is where they say all of history began. Somewhere in this area, right? So if that's one of the first questions we got to ask, if one of the first questions we ask is, where am I? We now know that they were in Ethiopia. We know that we're dealing with black people right out the gate, right? We're dealing with Africans, right? One of the important factors about the location of Kemet, coming up from the Garden of Eden, where Kemet is, its location here, Kemet is synonymous with Egypt. For those who don't know, I want to make sure they know that. Kemet and Egypt are the same thing. When you look here, there's a canal right here, the Suez Canal. This is an important factor because that is a man-made canal. That canal wasn't always there. And the reason why that canal was created is because if that canal wasn't there, anybody else around the world would have to travel. If you were in Europe and you wanted to get to Asia, you would have to travel completely around the entire continent of Africa, face bandits, you know, the whole 9 yards, the treacherous seas, in order to get to here, anywhere, Asia, the Middle East. You got to come all the way around, right? So this man-made Suez Canal, because of its inception, the reason why it was created, it made Kemet the epicenter of all of Africa. Because if you want to trade goods with anybody, you want to get the, because everybody's where you live doesn't have all the natural resources they need to survive. They got to trade and commerce with other people, right? So in order for you to get what you need, you got to go from Europe through the Suez Canal to get to Asia. The only way. So Kemet became Times Square. It became the popping spot where all cultures mixed together. I don't ever want y'all to get it twisted to think that Kemet was where everything was created, because it wasn't. It's where everything was popping, right? In New York, we have boroughs, right? We know Queens is good for something. Brooklyn is good for something. The Bronx is good for something. When we go to Times Square, we know the culture wasn't created in Times Square. It was created somewhere else. And we brought it to Times Square, and this is where we get the glamour and the glitz and the lights. But if you want to find where the real stars is at hanging around, you got to go downtown and hang in a little hole in the wall somewhere, right? That's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with the Nile Valley, okay? In the motherland, all up in here, in the Congo, this is where mathematics, all of that was developed in these jungles, in the lower levels, in South Africa. Some of them was even developed up here. But over here is where we traded all of this stuff. So this is why Egypt, why Kemet became so key, because they were the trading epicenter, okay? So now, we come out of the gate, right? Out the gate, and we're looking and we're saying, where are we? Why am I here? What are those lights? It's the first thing you're going to see. You ain't got nothing else. You might have fire after a couple 100,000 years. But when you come out, as soon as you hit the earth, all you see is lights. What are they? I don't know, but I know when this certain light is in this certain area, things happen. When this light is in this area, other things happen. So let's start tracking these things now. Let's track the lights. Just think about your African mindset, what you would do if you're trying to figure out where you are, why you're here, what you're doing here. Then we got this guy that pops up, right? Later on in the game. We're going to come back to him. Because they're telling you that he's the one that actually created the whole light situation, right? But let's just hold on to that information. We already know that story, right? Well, this is what we're looking at when we're actually tracking over years' time. We're just seeing them spinning, spinning. Okay, it's a cycle now. It's a cycle. And you know how long it's going to take? It's going to take several hundreds of years of tracking this. You got to tell other people what you've been tracking, pass the information down, right? It's going to take a while before you realize that it's doing cycles. And you got to be paying attention every single day in order to see that you're doing cycles. There's a reason why we are on the feet at 9 a.m. every single day, so we can understand our cycles, right? So we can see when we're improving and we're not improving, when something is repeating, when something is not repeating, right? So we create a chart. We create a chart. What you're looking at is the Dendera Zodiac. This is the first time you've ever seen a zodiac created. This is the template for zodiacs. It did not exist until this was created. The Dendera Zodiac. D-E-N-D-E-R-A. D-E-N-D-E-R-A. See if you can try and get that light right for them, because it's still not right. I want to make sure that I see, because all I see is white. So, the Dendera Zodiac, if you can see here, you'll see all the different animals of the zodiac. You see, the bull, fish, right? You see all in here? The lion, right? Your ancestors is the ones who created that concept of tracking the stars and using animals to personify these stars, okay? I want you to remember that. Later on, when Europeans came in, after they invaded Kemet, they then created their own charts, right? Their own depiction of the wheel. I mean, you already know European stuff because it's a drawing. I told y'all about the drawings, right? Anytime you see a drawing, you already know it ain't no real artifact. They taking it for something that's really real, written in stone. Everything that's in stone is legit. So now, you want to look at the symbols as well. All these things mean something. It's telling you something in here. But every single one of these stars that we have in the sky is personified and anthropomorphized into an animal or some sort of symbol to represent it. Okay? So now, we'll look at stars. The stars is also giving us a timeline as to when we're supposed to reap, harvest, and sow. Anybody know what reap, harvest, and sow means? It's a time when we figure out when we're going to be planting seeds, right? When the flood is going to come, and when it's time to reap our harvest, when it's time to get our fruit, right? This is an important factor because this is our everyday life. We don't have stores. We don't have In-N-Out. We don't have none of that. No burger joints. All we got is the land that we live off of. So this is the most important factor of our survival. That's all we think about 24/7 is how we're going to tend to our gardens, how we're going to tend to our herbs and our spices, things that keep us healthy. It's one of the most important factors. The Nile River flooding is that key moment when we know we're going to be good for the rest of the year because we have water. You see, we dug that Suez Canal because we needed to have an irrigation system as well. The water's got to be able to come in and feed all the rest of Africa because we got desert land, We got land that's unfertile, so we have to fertilize this land. How do we do that? We got to dig irrigation systems. So the Nile River was the first river that we dug. It was the most sustaining river that we dug. Oh yeah, we dug that river. It wasn't a god, okay? We actually went in there, according to the Epic of Atrahasis, tablet WB62, write that down. Epic of Atrahasis, Atrahassis, tablet WB62. It will give you the full story of how the gods dug out the rivers. This is where a lot of rivers got their, I mean, a lot of the religions got their inception from this one particular tablet that's in stone, and it's still there today. And guess where you find it? You find it in Sumer, in one of the cities that got destroyed by God. Sodom and Gomorrah. Remember that? Yeah, that's where you find that tablet. And the reason why they told you that story is because they want you to go there and get that information. Because then you're going to start connecting the dots. You're going to see that the individuals that dug these rivers were brothers. They were a family. And they went by the names of Yah, where we get Yahweh from. They went by the name of Allah, right, where we get Allah from, right? They was all one family. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, after that, we could shut down the lecture now. Huh? What we fighting for? What we fighting for when all the gods y'all talk about was brothers and sisters? So it sounds like a quarrel now. This is domestic dispute. I don't get involved in domestic disputes. You know? So this is what our lifestyle was like as Africans. Right? We're taking care of the animals, and the animals wasn't necessarily for eating. We understood that the animals' purpose was to till the ground, to keep the soil right, so that we could plant our crops. They fertilize the ground. You see? They say, oh yeah, the Kemites was eating animals. Look, no, they were taking care of the animals. Once we started eating animals, animals started eating each other. They started replicating what we were doing when we went off track. We were supposed to be taking care of the animals. You bring an elephant to a desert, you're going to have fertile land in about 6 months. Because the way the elephant walks on the ground, the way the deers walk on the ground, the way the cows walk on the ground, when they defecate on the soil, it creates life. It's a process, it's a system, and we're a part of that system. We realized that the sun was a factor. The sun was an important factor of everything that we do. The sun brings us the light. It brings us life. As you can see here, Akhenaten, I love Akhenaten. Why? Because everything that he did as a family. He brought his daughters. Okay? And you'd always see his daughters next to him. Here you see him giving life to the sun, getting life from the sun. You see the Ankh here? You see that? Very small, going to his daughter, right? The rays of the sun are hitting the flowers, and then you see Ankh here going to his mouth, right? So he understood the power of the sun, and that the sun's rotation was key to bringing life throughout all of Africa. We have to track it. We have to know what it does. We have to understand it. We have to bring everything that needs nourishment to the sun. Here he is again with his daughters as a family, his wife, Nefertari. They did everything as a family, sun gazing. Beautiful. You don't see this no more. We don't see this no more. This is what it's supposed to look like, right? Royalty. So now, back to this guy. Huh? He keep popping up. I want y'all to study this picture. I want y'all to study the drawings. Study the drawings. Because I want y'all to understand something about this. You see the sun? You see the sun? Why is it behind his head? Yeah. These individuals here, notice they're all sitting in groups of 3. They're all sitting in groups of 3. Why is that? He represents the sun. They represent the months of the year, the zodiac, and all different positions, grouped up, seasons. Winter, spring, summer, fall. You see, this was not an actual event. They're giving you symbolism here. They fed you the fact that he actually existed. Jesus fake, bro. He's the Son of God. Do you understand? The S-U-N of God. Is it in the book? Let's go to the book. Let's go to the book. What the book said. For the Lord God is a sun and shield. And they spelled it right. They didn't have spell checker back then, so every now and then one to slip through the cracks. You know what I'm saying? Every now and then it's going to slip through the cracks. The Lord will give you grace and glory. No good thing will he hold us from them that walk upright. That's the book of Psalms. The sun and shield is the actual sun. And they got these concepts out of KEMETIC. We wrote that first. So now, here we have how we represented the sun. Your African ancestors had a language that was a pictorial language. We didn't have letters yet. First we had utterances, and then we wanted to create pictures for you, because we understood pictures is worth 1,000 words. I can show you a picture, you can give me a whole story. Quick. If I gave you the words, you're going to be sitting there for a minute. This is the reason why we have the deficiency that we have now in schools, why we're not learning the way we're supposed to be learning, is because we're not supposed to be learning in that method. It's not the material, it's the method in which it's being taught. They want you to sit down and read books all day. That's not how you learn. You're going to get more from being sitting right here in this moment with your brothers and sisters and vibrating together than you'll ever get from any book. Traveling around the world, seeing different continents, seeing the pyramids for yourself, talking to the natives, that's research. This is search. Research is going to the country. It's the difference. You understand? We understood that you have to have a picture. The reason why you learn that way is because you're seeing it. So we understood that a pictorial language is the easiest way to teach everybody. And it wasn't just to teach everybody, it was specifically to teach who, do you think? See, even today, when we're trying to teach the children something, what do? We throw on Sesame Street, right? And the little broccoli come out, hey, I'm broccoli. We know broccoli don't dance and all that, right? But we do that because the kids is going to see it and it's going to resonate and they're going to understand what broccoli is. They're going to learn that way. We create songs, all that type. We anthropomorphize what we're trying to teach. That's our language. That's hieroglyphics. And even now, they're doing that, but you don't even know it. How many of y'all be putting emojis up? They taking your language of the Medu Neter or hieroglyphics and they're feeding it back to you and you don't even know it. We don't understand why we like emojis more than actually typing out the words. Because it's the feeling. It's not about what you're trying to say. It's the vibe that we're trying to give off. You can put the words in your type of way, but somebody will read it differently. Right? You ever say something nice to somebody or just saying hello and they get an attitude like, what's wrong with you? In a text. And they mad in a text. Why? Because there's no attachment there. The pictures say a lot more. Right? So, who you're looking at here is Ra. This is Ra. Some people confuse him with Heru. But that is Ra. When you see the sun above the head, then you're talking about the concept of light. The concept of light. This is why we do what we do, to teach our children. Our kings, our queens knew how to teach the children. They knew how to make these things that were important, such as the zodiac, last the test of time, and how we can carry out from generation to generation to generation by putting them in stories. Why do we use the bird? Why do we use the hawk to represent the sun? Because when you're in Kemet, the bird that flies the highest, that soars the highest, when you're looking into the sky, was a falcon. So that's why you see a falcon on the head of a human being. It wasn't to say that there's a falcon god running around here. We knew that, But when the Europeans came in here, they didn't know the language. So they figured we was worshiping falcon-headed gods. No. The falcon was actually the word, an actual pictorial picture of the sun. It was our word for the sun. And we called him Ra. Here is the European way they did it. His name is Helios. They did the same thing, but they put their faces on it. Okay? Helios is where you get the word holy from. Just like we get the word July from Julius. Right? It's the same thing. So, when you get the word Holy Bible, you're saying the Sun, Biblios, book. The Bible, the Holy Bible means sun, book, literally. So that entire book is an anthropomorphized story about the rotation of the sun. Huh?
Yes.
What is the meaning of Helios? Means sun in Greek. This was the name of the young Greek sun god who rode across the sky each day in a chariot pulled by 4 horses. You guys can look that up on your own. Heru and Set. Heru had an adversary, as they say. Heru was the aspect of the sun or light, just like Ra was, but he was the son of Ra. And his adversary was Set. Set was another energy or a dark energy. What's the opposite of light? So anytime you see Heru, you're going to see Set somewhere nearby because they were equal and opposite forces that fought against one another in the story. So if you wanted to explain, if the child is already saying, okay, that's Heru, I understand that that's the sun, and now nighttime comes, how do you explain it to him? You say, you create another character. Set came through, and Set and Heru were fighting. Set's winning right now. Let's go to bed. So here, when we say, who am I, right? These are the words of Ra. I want you to understand that anytime you're using the word Ra, you're using it in reference to a time of day. So when it's midday, we just say Ra. When the sun is at its highest point, it's Ra, right? When the sun is rising, it's Kepera, or rebirth, right? When or just birth. When the sun has set and it's midnight at its darkest point, then it's Amun Ra, right? When the sun is setting, or when the sun dies, it's Ra Atum. Okay? So now these are key words, because you see the word Amun Ra here? We still use the word Amun today. When? Amen. 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 At the end of every prayer, we still say Amen. And it's usually our prayers at night, right? Before we go to bed, in Jesus' name. Amen. So here's the story, and here's the two equal opposite energies. And this is what I want you to take from this, that they're not physical properties, they're energies, more than anything, because they can be applied to many different things. Not just the sun and the moon. It could be a positive and neutral negative energy, right? Up, down, left, right. You can use this concept in any which way you see fit. Okay, we weren't linear people. Africans aren't linear people. They always had layers to things. So Setek, or Set, okay, is the darkness, negative, chaos, villain, envy, evil, night. Heru represents light, positive, order, hero, the sun, righteousness, day, focus, and will. Okay, the battle of Heru and Setek represents the well-known battle of good versus evil, day and night. Okay, with Heru defeating Setek each morning as the sun rises, then Setek conquiring Heru as the night falls on the sun each evening. Looking at human nature, the battle of Heru and Setek represents our consciousness, our conscious, the battle of good and bad within ourselves. Heru is a positive will, defeating Setek each time we resist temptation. On the flip side, Setek is that negative will, driven by hate, envy, and jealousy, conquering Heru each time we perform unrighteous acts. So when we understand this concept, we realize that our African ancestors had moral character. They weren't savages, like they said. Because that's what the Europeans said. We have to conquer them and save their souls because they're savages. This is clearly lining out that we understood right from wrong. Here's a letter system that I want you to take a look at. But particularly, I want you to look at the letter N. Because the letter N uses a wavelength. A wavelength. And that N, when you put it at the end of set, spells. So when you're speaking in Medu Neter and you're saying, if you're using a term where somebody is doing something and using energy to do it, they use the letter N. This is where Satan was created. Anytime you're using negative energy or you're using an opposite force of the light and it's actually creating a function, then you put an N on the end. So it would be Satan. So that's where they got that concept from. It's the action of Set. Okay? So they took this concept and they created Jesus and the devil or a demon, whatever it is, right? As you can see, we already had the story of Heru defeating Setek or Set. Let's talk about this verse. O Lord, you are our Father, we are the clay, you are the potter, we are the work of your hand. Isaiah 64:8. Let's talk about where it came from. You are the potter, we are the clay. Isaiah 64:8. We had it first. Kanum. Kanum is the spirit or the energy of creation. The energy of creating specifically human beings. Here you have him, and it wasn't just him. He had a divine feminine energy with him as well. So we can get rid of the concept that God is just a man. And he don't need no help. If there's anything that ticks me off more, it's the fact that our egos as men have really done a number on the divine feminine. If we really grasp this concept, fellas, we could change the world pretty quick. It don't take that much time. If we treat the women right, the divine feminine energy, the one that gave birth to us. We didn't do it by ourselves. She helped. As a matter of fact, she did more than help. She's the one that birthed. We just gave the blueprint. It takes two to tango, and we know that. So why would we allow religion to tell us differently? That the man just, here's the thing. They say that God created man from scratch. And then he created woman from the rib of a man. When it was time for him to make Jesus, who did he go looking for? He went looking for that black woman. How come he ain't just make her from scratch like he did before? How come he just ain't make it from scratch? He made man from scratch. He made everything else from scratch. Yeah, we don't question God. Huh? I mean, this is just simple here. You did everything else from scratch. You created a damn roach from scratch. That's more important. We'll pray about it. This concept right here is what's destroying it. Because we really think that there's these two forces and they're fighting against one another, and we're not realizing that they're one and the same and they need each other to even exist. The day that I let that Jesus character go, I haven't seen the devil since. I haven't seen him since. It's positive and negative energy. The neutral energy is what we call heaven. That's when everything is balanced out. And that's what we're missing right now in the African community. That's what we're missing in America. That's what we're missing in the lives of all individuals, is that balance and knowing what needs to be balanced out. And once we figure that out, that's how you get that 9. You got to balance them out. night and day, balance. That's what we're about, duality. So when you look at Heru, this is key here, because when you look at Heru and Satet, like I said, you'll see him around somewhere. You're never going to see him by himself unless somebody's trying to deceive you. He's always going to be somewhere near there in that story because it has to be balanced out. If you look here in this picture here, you'll see Heru, which represents light, but you see Satet on his shoulder, a little Satet on his shoulder. Why is that? Why is that, do you think? Darkness is behind light. Right? You can't have light unless you have darkness. You need the two. Right? It's about, yeah. The speed of darkness is quicker than the speed of light. Did you know that? It carries light. It's what carries. When you look in the universe, 95% of the universe is dark matter. Light is just a speck. And it's the darkness that's ushering it in. You wouldn't even know if it was light if it wasn't surrounded by darkness.
It's still be light, like you can't see the spine.
You wouldn't know the difference. If I had a candle right here, you see light, right? Right? But if I put the sun behind it, you see nothing. You got to have darkness around it in order to understand its power, to balance it out. Here we have Seta, which is what we called it, Seta, or the serpent, carrying the soul of a human body, right, into the celestial stars. We understood that even negative principle had a purpose. When you die, that negative energy, that acidic energy that you have is what ultimately carries you up to the sun. That negative energy is what carries you up. Not the positive energy, the negative energy. It's all necessary. The necessary evils that they say. The necessary evils. You can't have the one without the other. And it wasn't something that was spooky that we were scared of. We understood that it's just balance, it's cause effect. But we created these stories for the babies. They made them into real people. We understood as Africans that it was just a concept. Here you have Satet and Asar, where he defeated Asar, or he slayed Asar rather. This is where you get the Cain and Abel story. They took that from us as well. Here you have the balancing energies. Now here's a cool thing. The balancing energies of the divine feminines. The divine feminine energy is special because two divine feminine energies together can balance themselves out. Two masculine energies can't do that. You have a masculine energy in the middle and two divine feminine energies, it forms a triad. They're telling you how to do it, and this works in electricity. Ask any electrician. They'll tell you, as long as you have a masculine energy in the middle, two divine feminine energies can create an electrical circuit. Okay? So here you're seeing Aset, and you're seeing Nebet Het together, and this is the Ankh here, right? And they're creating balance in the middle. They're saying Ra gives life, and that is stability. This is the Jed pillar, okay? So you're seeing two divine feminine energies, and I don't want you to get that confused with sexual gender. Huh? Because people can easily get that confused. Oh, that means, you know what I'm saying, polygamy is what's popping. Y'all be trying, man. Y'all do it. They took this concept, and here you have their two little white angels, little snow bunnies. And you got, you know, Jesus in the middle, and he took the whole concept. He's the life now. But you see the difference between the way we did it and the way that they did it? They put the sun behind his head. Yeah, so you got to see his face. We always kept the sun above. We understood that the sun was greater than us, right? It's higher than us, I should say. Another one. The Black Madonna. Everybody know who the Black Madonna is? You're looking at Offset, and she's suckling baby Heru, right? Then they came with the drawings, right? They had it right at first, a little bit, and then they went all the way white, right? They whitewashed it, and they're still doing this today. And this is why y'all gotta travel. Y'all gotta go to KEMETIC. Y'all gotta see, because they're right now, they whiten it out. They got the Arabs over there, and they paint it literally. Literally, right now. Right now. So before long, history over there is going to be erased, and all we're going to have left is these pictures that we have, because they're whitewashing the whole thing. We could.
We working on it. We working on it.
Lighthouse.
We working on it.
We're working on it. So, another concept stolen from us, baptism. We understood the purity of water. We understood symbolism and how water purifies the body, the mind, the soul. We already had that. So all of these concepts as far as religion and Christianity, they took from us, verbatim. There's really nothing much you can do but just rape the culture, because it's at its purest form. Every religion took from us. Jesus walking on water. That's amazing. That's amazing. Huh?
Still behind.
But the sun's still behind. They can't help it. You understand? When it's based, when you have a lie that's based on the real truth, it's going to leak out. You understand? Every picture that you see, you're going to see that sun behind his head. This picture and this picture is exactly the same. The Son of God walking on water. Do you see the footsteps? Huh? Damn, they crazy. And it don't matter whether you paint them black or white. It don't mean nothing, because it's a concept. It was never meant to be taken literally. You understand? He could be any color. When this magazine dropped in 1969, all the white folks went crazy. They went crazy. Ebony got into a lot of trouble because of that. Big controversy. Because they couldn't see a black man being depicted as any type of Messiah. Not in that time. Unheard of. But it didn't matter. Because Jesus wasn't black neither.
Right.
Jesus fake, bro. We knew that. But we knew that. When we created it and they came in, they didn't know. You know what I'm saying? So they took it to where they wanted to take it.
Poetry.
Heru, Offset, and Asar. This is the first Holy Trinity. This was the first Holy Trinity. Man, woman, child. Because we understood that these weren't real people either. They were concepts. We understood the concepts of man, woman, and child. A divine masculine and a divine feminine will produce life. Right? This is where the story of Jesus comes from. Mary and Joseph, the whole 9 yards, was taken from that simple concept. And the white folks know this. They know it. You see the Pope? They kneel to the black Madonna. Huh? But we run up in our churches and we kiss the feet of the white Jesus. But behind closed doors, what y'all don't know is this behind closed doors. Right? This is not in a service.
Right.
While we out here, they go in the back room. Come on, Francis. That's what they're doing.
Right.
Because they know that this is the original energy here. It was that divine dark energy that created life. This is in the Museum of Natural History, New York, and they still have the young Jesus as a black child. okay? One of the pictures that I took from the museum. And it was in the cut, nobody really paid attention to it or even knew what they was looking at. But, you know, in its purest form, we represented these concepts how we saw ourselves. I have no problem with religion even representing these concepts as themselves, as long as they keep the African in it and know where it started. But to pretend as if, you know, they're the gods, right? If I show you a picture of Jesus and you say, no, Jesus didn't look like that, that tells me your level of understanding of the entire concept. You're lost. Why was religion created? It was created so that we keep laws in place. That's all it was created for. If we understand that, then we understand how they're corrupting it, why they're corrupting it, because it gets people to act in certain ways. It's a lifestyle. Your religion is your philosophy. It is everything, how you live, is how you think, your perception is according to your religion, your divine philosophy, right? They use that to control us. Jesus versus Horus. What are the similarities? Let's look at the story. Jesus was written down 2,000 years ago, born of a Virgin Mary. Or Horus was born of Isis, or Set. Birthday on December the 25th, same birthday. North Star led wise men to him when he was born, taken to Egypt to escape the wrath of Herod. Eastern Star led 3 wise men to him when he was born, taken to Egypt to escape the wrath of Typhon. Right, and these are all, there's Kemetic terms for these two. Taught in the temple as a child, he taught in the temple as a child. Baptized by John the Baptist, baptized by Anuk the baptizer. You saw the baptism actually. Performed miracles and walked on water. Right, raised Lazarus from the dead. I love this one. Performed miracles and walked on water. Raised El Azur-Us. Right, from the dead. Was transformed on the mount. Right? Titles include the way, the truth, the life, the Messiah, God's anointed Son, Son of Man, the Good Shepherd, Lamb of God, the Word, the Morning Star, the light of the world, crucified, buried, in a tomb, and resurrected. Titles included the exact same thing.
Right.
And this was thousands of years earlier. So what makes their story more accurate than ours?
Right.
That's what I need to know. Why are we falling for their story? Yeah. My brother was just talking about a book the other day, and he said it was an interesting book. What was the name of that book, guys?
The God Delusion.
The God Delusion. He said, yeah, it's written by a white man. I said, I need that book. You know why? Because some people don't believe nothing unless I told them the white man said it.
That's correct.
You understand? This story here. Anybody know what this story is talking about? The judgment scene?
Yes, sir.
This is from the Papyrus of Ani. The Papyrus of Ani. This young fella here has passed away. Okay? Anpu, which is the energy of embalming, right? He has the head of a jackal, because what do jackals do? They sniff you out. They sniff out dead bodies, dig them up out of the ground. So that's why we use the jackal for dead bodies. They're man's best friend when you're dead.
Yeah.
When you die, you know the dog is the first one. Come find him. So he's taking this dead person to be judged, right? The soul of that dead person. That's why he's dressed in white. To be judged. Here's his heart. On the scales of Ma'at, on the other end, it's a feather. Okay? Here he is calibrating the scales to make sure you're getting a fair judgment.
Yeah.
Right? So you can see that we were fair people. We just didn't condemn people because they never heard about Jesus. Here you have him waiting to devour your soul if your soul is not light as a feather.
Yes.
Here you have Tahuti, who is writing down. He's the lawgiver, the scribe. He's saying, all right, these are the results.
That's why they had a person in court.
Yeah, these in court. This is where they took the whole concept. We're going to get into that. Writing it down. Now, here you are over here, same person. And you have Heru bringing you now over to the judge who makes the verdict. But he gets his message from what Tahuti gives him, the lawgiver, right? You know how the judge sit there, they don't really do no work, really. They just get to, all right? They don't even look at you sometimes in the face. They just, all right, boom, that's what it is. So this is what is happening here. as you see here, these are all the Netaru. These are the ones, this is the jewel. This is where they got the concept from. Some of them saying, yeah, give him life, 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 life. But then you have half of them saying, right? So now, Ani's soul has to be brought to the king, to the judge, to the father. And he's backed by who? Those two divine feminine energies that we were talking about earlier. Auset and Nectars, right? So, there's a lot that you can take from here. Because yeah, fella, you on the throne. But who's running the throne?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Behind every great man.
Yes, sir.
Two. Huh? Your mama?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And your woman?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And what he's sitting on, the throne that he's sitting on, which is the throne of Ma'at. Ma'at, it means balance and truth. What, let me give you, watch this. This and this scale is the same.
Yeah.
This here is a mat, right? It looks like a mat, but it's actually a pool of water. Okay? Out of it is growing the lotus.
Yeah.
Birth, giving birth, right? To life, right? He represents all of that. He sits on that. He has a throne sitting on water. So you know that this is not a real person. It's a concept, right? So Heru is the one that brings him to this situation to find out what his destiny is going to be. What does that mean?
Yes, sir.
You know they raped it.
Yes, sir.
You know they raped it. Huh?
Yes, sir.
I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
The Son, that's right.
Right. Jesus and Heru are the same.
Yes, sir.
He's the one that brings you to the Father. That's where they got that from. We need to hire some lawyers, is what we need to do, and go to court. Because they stole our entire culture and built the whole civilization on it. Thy rod and the staff, they comfort me. We the only ones that have rods and staffs. Who else have rods and staffs?
Yes, sir.
They still got us, laying in the tombs. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. What's the difference between the cross and the Ankh? One's life, one is death. Y'all need to watch that video. It's a knife. The Christ. What is the Christ? Well, when you Google it, this is what you get. This is what you get when you Google it. You know, apparently we can't be the Christ. Gotta be, you know. Where does it come from, though? It comes from the Medu Neter. Korest. Korest. And this is how it's spelled in the Medu Neter. It's the process of death or embalming. That's what the word Christ means, the real word. Korest. This is a real good factor that you need to know. It's written on our sarcophagi. When you bury somebody, the word Korest. Because there's another word that you might hear of, mess. What does mess mean? It means the rebirth. So when you take Christ and you put mess together, you get the death, the resurrection. Christmas.
That's good.
Yeah. That's where it comes from. Huh? Korest, mess. And we celebrated, you know.
Not anymore.
They got us. They got us. I heard Toys R Us went out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah, we waking up. They didn't get me this year. So, in the past, you've heard them represent Jesus as the Christ. Jesus the Christ, right? Because there's a key factor here. There's a word "the" in between them. See that? When we say Jesus, we normally say Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior, right? But there's a "the" in the middle. Why is that? Because, you know, we hear it as Jesus Christ, like Jesus is his first name, Christ is his last name, right? But there's a "the" in the middle. Why? Because Christ is a consciousness. It's a level of consciousness. For us, it meant the burial. It means after you're dead, right? So you're on a different level. You're not here in the physical plane. That's what that means. So when they say Jesus, the Christ, they didn't know what it means. They didn't know what Christ means. They just knew that every time that we saw Christ on a sarcophagus, we was admiring and praising that particular individual, right? Why? Because they were in a different level of consciousness. So you see it says Jesus the Christ, but over time, you start to see things change. Now it's Jesus Christ. Right? Jesus Christ. Then it just drops all together. And it's Jesus Christ now. You understand? Because they didn't want you to know that a Christ can be anybody. It wasn't just one person who dies and resurrects. No, we all die, we all resurrect. If you bury the body properly and prepared, it was said that you would be resurrected. You understand? So let's put it this way. All the ones who came back, the ones that are here, y'all the kings and the queens. Y'all was buried properly. When you know that, that should make the hairs stand up on you. Because you wouldn't be here. Nothing new under the sun. This is my favorite. So what was the fake one? Because I need to know. If it's just the truth. What was the fake one? So now, they say that we worship frogs, lions, falcons, you name it, dogs. But it's okay to say Jesus Christ is the Lamb of God and worship lambs and sacrifice lambs. Right? They do it all the time because we understand it's just symbolism. But when we explain our concepts are always explained. I'm sorry. When we explain our concepts are always explained in a literal sense. Got one more, right? They explain our concepts in a literal sense. Meaning, if we're talking about a lamb, we got to be literally talking about a lamb, right? We got to actually kill lambs, slay lambs as a sacrifice. That wasn't what we was about. We understood that the lamb, all of these concepts, or as far as the zodiac, all of these concepts were built on a concept, just a concept, not an actual being. Let me see if we can get this back on. We need to unplug it, plug it back in. Let's try it. Give it a rest. Yeah, it's been rocking. Y'all enjoying this?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. Teach.
Let's get this work.
Be saying that, huh, like Big Gregory.
Ha Huh? They already know. Huh? I got that from my great grandfather.
Oh, yeah.
He used to say, Sonny. Oh, son. You take that garbage out, huh? Benny Anderson. Let's invoke his name. Everybody say Benny Anderson.
Benny Anderson.
Good. I should.
Ancestor.
My ancestor. Wise man. When we speak the name Jesus, a lot of times you'll see it written as such, as a fish. Anybody figure out why? Jesus represented the sun in the constellation of Pisces, according to the zodiac. Okay? So all of the movements that you see him doing, all the miracles, everything that pertained to Jesus was letting you know that they were dealing with an era, a certain era. And that era was the era of Pisces. Okay? And now, he even gives it away a couple of times in the scripture. We'll get into that a little bit later. As you see here, this is, anybody know what that symbol is? Virgo. Virgo. Why is Virgo the M with that on it? The fish. The fish represents what? Which is? The M represents? Which is? The Virgin. Virgo. So Mary, the mother of Jesus, is what you're seeing. That's the sign of the Virgo. So that's how you know where this comes from, where they're getting it from. They said to Jesus in Luke 22:9, this is when he was dealing with the Last Supper, right? They said, Jesus, where do you want us to prepare the table for the Last Supper? He said to them, when you enter the city, a man will meet you carrying a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house that he enters. What is he talking about? He's talking about Aquarius, the symbol for Aquarius, which is the water. That's the age we're in now. The age of pouring out of information. That's where we're at. Do you understand? So they're telling you what era is about to move in, because the Pisces era can't come until this era is done. The age of Aquarius. And if you notice, this is how they was doing y'all back in the day, and I wanted y'all to see it. They had the white Jesus knocking out the black devil. That was you back in the day. And they did this over with Muhammad Ali. I don't know if any of y'all seen that when he was doing the rumble in the jungle. Yeah, they did this over, and had Muhammad Ali going against Superman, white man. You understand? So this is how they saw you. They see themselves as the gods and you as the demons. You understand? So now, most of us already know this, but hopefully, hopefully we'll grasp this concept. These three periods are aligned to celestial stars directly. These stars only align every about 2,360 years. Now I want you to think about this for a second. To align a building that takes at least 20 to 40 years to build, just one, to align all three of these with the constellation that only appears 2,360 years repetitiously would tell us that this knowledge had to have been in a cycle for at least 5,000 years, maybe, at a minimum. That's at a minimum. I'm sure they was watching it a lot longer than that. But we already know, they're telling you that we only been here for 6,000 years. We already got 5,000 out the gate that we did this in. It takes the brain a couple of hundred of thousands of years to develop the concept of being able to build something like this. We haven't even figured out how they done it right now, right? And we're in the year 2017, 2018, and we still haven't figured out how they did this. So think about that, how long we've actually been here. You're talking hundreds of thousands of years. You got to monitor the cycles in order to create something to actually align with. So now, in the book of Amos, it says, seek him that makes the seven stars and Orion and turns the shadows of death into the morning and makes the day dark with night. Those stars are the stars, what they call the imperishables, And these 7 stars is what creates Asar. In the Bible, it's telling you that Asar is the Lord. The one that was sitting on the throne. It's telling you right here, seek him that makes the 7 stars of Orion. That's Asar. They changed it to, Orion's belt, but it was Asar before that. Let's talk about the cross. Where does it come from? Huh? More than that. We got to talk about the first science first. What's that? What was the first science? Anybody know? Somebody said it. Astronomy and astrology. The stars. Remember the first when we came out, what's the first thing we saw? The cross. Let's talk about the crux. The crux is a constellation located in the southern sky, in a bright portion of the Milky Way. It is among the most easily distinguished constellations, as all of its 4 main stars have apparent visual magnitude above 2.8, and even though it's the smallest of all 88 modern constellations, its name is Latin for cross. And it is dominated by a cross-shaped or kite-like asterism that is commonly known as the Southern Cross. Now, why is it significant? Because we built monuments according to the winter solstice of that Southern Cross. All of the pyramids align, and the stars on occasion will shift in position. The sun will rise in position to those pyramids, right directly in the middle. If you go to Chichen Itza in Mexico, the pyramids there, the winter and summer solstice, they do ceremonies, and they show you how the sun rises up right in the middle, and it shines through the pyramids, and that pyramid, that light that comes through the pyramids will light up the altars of the deities in there. Every single pyramid aligns with each other around the world. They're not just isolated incidents. There was a network going on of calculating the stars and when things were going to happen. And they did ceremonies around it. The winter solstice, or hibernal solstice, also known as midwinter, is an astronomical phenomenon marking the day with the shortest period of daylight and the longest night of the year. This is key. Because if you had to interpret this in an African mindset with characters, you would say the sun died today because it went away for its longest. This is the longest night of the year. So the sun has been down for its longest period of time. And guess how long it's down? 3 days. And when it comes back up, you got to find the crooks to see the sunrise. Yeah. On December the 23rd, December 22nd, December 23rd, and December 24th. This happens every year. Every year. But because we don't pay attention to stars, we were taught that astronomy and astrology was evil. Don't look into it. We didn't see the damn cycle happening every single year. We too busy with presents, waiting on lines at Toys R Us. And the real reason why this is going on is right there happening before us. The sun stays in a weird position. It just stays still for these 3 days. And that's what Christmas was really all about. The rebirth of the Son of God. New star is born. That's where it comes from. Who's that? Who's that? 3 wise men. Anybody notice something significant about them? I've said this before. Yeah. Anytime you see the 3 wise men, you will see 2 of them woke, and one is always either taller or off center. Never equal. There's always one that's a little bit off. It's a little bit, but he off. Why is that? The pyramids of Giza, they represent the stars. Niggas wasn't real. Personifying the stars, and they gave you more drawings. Huh? And we believe the drawings. Look at the halo. It's all there. But when we don't have our pineal glands decalcified and we're not seeing it with a third eye, it's just like, and then you look back and you're like, how did I believe? How come I didn't peep this, man? Yeah. So all of this knowledge we had written down, we had it. And it was in the Alexandria Library. And they destroyed it. They burned down the library. Some say they still have the knowledge and they just took it out and then they burned it. And I can believe that there could be some truth to that. That they're actually holding on to something. We've heard of Caesar Borgia, right? But I need you to understand that there was somebody before Caesar Borgia. Who was that? Somebody said Serapis. Serapis Christos is the true face of Jesus that you see today. Not Caesar Borgia. He came later with Leonardo da Vinci and all of that. Okay? So a lot of people, I hear them say, no, he's Caesar Borgia. No, that was way late. That's like really being stepped on. Here we have Daniel in the lion's den. Right? What constellation is Daniel in the lion's den? Thank you. So Daniel never existed either. Faith. Here we have the bull, Taurus. Go through this. Come back to this. Yeah, let's talk about Moses. I love this. Huh? I love me some Moses. So, all of his teachings, every word that God had for us, he put it on them tablets right there. That's it. That's it. That's all we needed. Just 10. Everything else is good. We just needed 10. When we look at the early depictions of Moses, you see him with horns. Many people don't know that. When you go back, you'll see Moses had horns. Don't that look evil? That looks crazy. And there's many of them, so you can't just say, oh, it was a mistake. They all over the place. Horns. Devil. Okay? You'll also see Moses depicted with a rod with snakes wrapped around it. Right? Snakes are supposed to be evil in the faith of Christianity, but early depictions you'll find him with a rod with some snakes wrapped around it. Any idea what that snake represents?
Kundalini.
Absolutely. It's the Kundalini energy of Tahuti. Moses represents knowledge. He represents the knowledge. You see that? Kundalini? Kundalini. That's the energy that we all possess. And it rises up, chakras, it rises up from the spine. It's sexual energy. It rises up to the spine, to the brain, to the pineal gland. Okay? It's like an orgasm in reverse. This is why when you're a boxer or you're an athlete, they don't want you to have any type of intercourse during that time when you're training, because you're using that Kundalini energy as a form of power. It turns into what they call chi. A lot of Asian, they utilize that a lot. A lot of chi, where you can actually make things move by releasing that energy from your hands. It's that real. Yeah, Bruce Lee did that with the 2-finger punch.
Yeah.
And make a body fly yards, just like that. Because he's releasing his chi, his energy that he's pulling from his root chakra, the base, all the way up to the crown, and releasing it through his hand. It's a process of meditation. It's not easy to do. You have to be pure. Your body has to be a pure vessel. Eating correctly, meditating correctly, you have to have true knowledge of self. You'll find early pictures of Bruce Lee with unks on his shirt.
Yeah.
He knew what was up.
Absolutely.
Moses represents the constellation of Aries. That's why he has horn on his head. The sun in the constellation of Aries. That's why he wanted y'all to smash them tablets. Because, you know, we were still worshiping and exalting the divine feminine. Y'all see a calf here. Because we don't know who Het Heru is. That's Het Heru. You see the symbol on her head? Let's go back to the drawings. See the symbol on the cow's head? They wanted y'all to stop worshiping the divine feminine energy of the black woman. He said, you're going against the law. And that law lasted to maybe less than 100 years ago. Women just got the right to vote when? Right. So we've been suppressing women for how long? Yeah. Since this story been out. And we wonder why everything all messed up. Before then, we built temples to our women. And if you're going to build a temple for your woman, where you going to build it? You're going to build it at home. So we know where home was. The temple of Het Heru is in Africa. Right? It's one of the most glorious temples. And also the temple of Hatshepsut, which was the longest reigning queen in all of history in Africa. Hatshepsut had a funerary temple that is still in existence today. You can still go see it. In that funerary temple, her reign lasted for 2,000 years. So her lineages. It's the only lineage in Kemet actually that was peaceful. They had no war during that time when she reigned.
2,000 years.
For 2,000 years it lasted. So her children's children inherited those concepts. The Ten Commandments is where we get, the 42 laws of Ma'at or ideas of Ma'at is where we get the Ten Commandments from. We already had those concepts in Kemet. It was one of the things that you said during the judgment scene. When you're at the judgment scene, you would have to recite, I have not killed, I have not, muddied up the waters or dirtied the waters, things of that nature. All of these laws, and there's more than this. There's only 42 of them. It's actually well over 100 something. Okay. Staying with the lines then. That's Leo. Went over that. See what else I want to go through. One other thing I want to go through with you guys. How am I doing on time? Good. So, when it came out of the Caucasus Mountains, don't laugh because it's y'all fault. When they came out of the Caucasus Mountains and they saw these glorious monuments, they saw these statues of what looked like human beings. They said, these are gods. They must be gods. The word God wasn't even in existence until the Hyksos came into Kemet, and I need y'all to understand that. That word God wasn't in existence yet. We use the word Nter. It was more like Nter. Okay? Yeah, it was a click. We had a click language, right? And even the Kemetic scholars don't use that. But I think we need to get back into it and learn that language. Because what we say on the internet, even when we're typing it, they're utilizing that information to create metadata on it. Anytime you type something in the description, you'll see it say C translation, right? Because they're creating concepts and coding around your language. So if the only language that we know is the English language, we will never be ahead of them. This is why you can see a Hispanic community can come in right under your nose and build a whole infrastructure under you. A whole city under you. And you stay in the same spot. It's because we haven't embraced our languages, our original tongues, the sacred tongues. You understand? So we need to learn the language of our ancestors, the Metanetra. But when they came out, they didn't know the language of the Metanetra. They didn't know the language of our ancestors. They didn't know who we were. They saw the black woman, and they thought that she was Medusa. They thought the locks on her hair were snakes. So when you wear your locks, when you wear your hair the way it is, subconsciously they're offended by that. You're doing something to them just by wearing your locks. You understand? Your hair is a weapon. It's a subconscious thing. They don't know it. They don't understand it. They inherited it from their ancestors. You see? But they said, don't stare into her eyes. She's so beautiful, she'll turn you to stone. They was looking at the statues that we had created. They thought the black woman did that. So they cursed her. They thought she was the evil one, turning people into stone. So this is what we need to embrace. We need to get back to the divine power that you all have. It's done. Nah, it's burning down. We're done with that anyway. This is what we need to get back to. We need to get back to learning who we are as a people, embracing our divine feminine and masculine energy, realizing that we need each other in order for us to become who we are to be, in order for us to be able to raise our children the way they're supposed to be raised, for them to be strong, to get rid of the ideologies, to get rid of depression. That's a big one. That's a big one. To get rid of fear. Because a lot of us don't succeed simply because we're scared. We're scared to. And we're taught that. To be afraid. If you go too far that way, you're going to die. You go too far this way, you're going to die. You go up, you're going to die. You go down, you're going to die. We're so scared. We don't go nowhere. We just sit right here and don't do nothing. I'm not exempt to it. I did it for a long time. Like I told you, this is my first time, right? You got to get rid of that. As soon as you get rid of that, everything else, all barriers, everything that was holding you back in life begins to just dissipate, and you realize it was no longer there. Right. It wasn't even there in the first place. Right. You created it. Right. You created the devil, you created the angel. When you go like this, they disappear. Both of them. Right? Because they're all in here. It's all in the mind. And these concepts that we were laying out was so that we could connect the two. So we can connect the left brain and the right brain. The conscious thought and the creative thought. Right? The logical thought and the thought of expansion, fantasy, all of that. You have to have the masculine and the feminine both together. These energies. And like I said, I don't want y'all getting this confused with gender. Because that's where people fall short, especially in the Kemetic community. They think we're talking about man and woman. No. We're talking about, like, if you ever plugged in a plug. If you ever plugged in a plug, let me show you something. You have a male and a female. Right. This is the male. This is the female. Right? You understand that concept? So one of is just like electricity. We had electricity. We created the concept. Yes, we have free electricity in Kemet. Yes. They don't want you to know that either. Right. But they know that. Right. You know, Tesla and all of these dudes studied in Africa. They studied. So they took those concepts and created the alternating current design from the symbol of the Ankh. Anybody got an Ankh? Who can give me an Ankh real quick? Show me an Ankh. Oh, we got one. Okay. What you're looking at is not just what they told you as far as on a carnal level, as far as the womb and the male phallus, right? Even though it is. I told you we weren't linear people. It wasn't just one thing. You're looking at an alternating current design. This current goes through here and it forms a loop. You see that? It forms a loop. Imagine if electricity was flowing through here. It would form a loop, right? And then when you have another one with a coil that goes this way, what you don't see is that there's a coil. This is a coil. When you attach a coil to this creates a mechanism where it just propels one another. It keeps going in a circular motion. Boom, boom. When you understand this concept, you understand how to create the rotation of the sun, the moon, and the stars. We did that. We did that.
Right.
Huh? Too much for you? Too much? Too much? Yeah. We did that. That's alternating current. alternating current. So now when people start coming around and they start talking about the flat earth theories and things of that nature, now you're going to listen like, let me see what he's talking about. Is he going to give me the science behind it, or he just talking? It's a science behind it. If you know the science, it don't sound so crazy.
Right.
It don't sound so crazy because you got to contain that energy somehow. It can't just be, right? Might have to put a firmament dome on that. Right. We're talking about water, right? We got water, all of that. Yeah, we might have to put the Bible talk about it, right? Yeah. Oh, now we don't believe the Bible no more? Huh? All of a sudden we we pick and choose, right? We pick and choose. So, you know, we created that. And I can show you the texts, and I can show you where it's showing them, holding up the light pictures. Yes, and you see the divine feminine energy saying left, right, yeah. The sun and the moon. I wish I could have pulled that up for you. But yeah, we did that. So the Ankh is way bigger than you think. It's not just the sexual organs and things of that nature. That's real low level. You know, that's too easy stuff. That's the carnal flesh. Because it even goes down to a molecular level, as above, so below. Y'all seen that video? So you're talking about how what we call horizontal gene transfer works. How everybody in here, what y'all don't know, is this is actual, in a mind frame, and I need y'all to really think about this. This is actual sexual intercourse right here. You understand? We're swapping DNA. You understand? So the vibration, the energy that you're getting right now from each other, we are changing ourselves. We are rearranging ourselves. Everything is vibration. This is why you got to watch who you hang around. Right. You got to get around the like-minded. This is why the Lighthouse is doing what we're doing, because we understand that these people can't be out here walking out here alone. You have to have the like-minded around you in order for you to be able to operate at your highest capacity. You got to let go of some people, right? But you also got to bring some people on at the same time. We're not here to just take religion from you. We're going to give you back what you're supposed to have. What they say, taking back what the devil stole. Yeah. They took your identity. They took who you are. So we don't know who we are anymore. So we just playing around. We adopting European concepts. You know, a couple of us was probably wearing green the other day and throwing on leprechaun outfits. It's okay. Some of us is pledging Greek organizations. It's okay. Right? Because we don't know no better. We're looking for our culture. We're dying for our culture. Black Panther has showed you that there's a market for it, right? The people want their culture back. They'll pay $1 billion for it. Right. But we didn't give Umar Johnson $1 million to build a school. Right. Right. You understand? Right. So, you individuals here that are here today in Dallas that came here, I want to thank you, but I also want to congratulate you for making it happen. Ashe. For making it happen, because you are a unique people. I've been doing this for about 3 years now, and I've been doing live videos for about a year. And dua to Brother Kenny for bringing me on here. And thank you guys for your love, for your support, on and offline, for the phone calls, the emails, the donations. Thank you. May the divine force in me reach divine force in you. Dua, 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 dua. We're going to answer some questions now. If anybody has any questions, concerns, comments, let's chat, let's talk. Peace, family online. I love y'all.